Yeah, I'm going to go over how I, very delicately sharpen the blade in this video series. So I'll use indirect percussion, I think. Well, yeah, I think I should use indirect percussion on this area here, but I'll just use pressure on the upper area. This one, might use pressure for that one. But this one, I think I need a large flake here, so let's see. Okay. It's too tempting not to use percussion on a thick area. That had enough thickness in there that I was pretty confident. Okay, hopefully that won't come back to bite me, that patch right there. It should be all right. I don't want to hold it too firmly because it'll snap. Let's see. Really should be using a flat chisel tip for this, but this Obsidian is such good quality that I think I can get away with using this rounded tip. Yeah, as long as I'm getting a good snap for the flakes with a rounded tip, I don't have to worry too much about crushing. But there, that's what I was afraid of. I got a step fracture right there just now. So I'm going to have to sneak up on that from behind. Okay. Well, I was hoping the round tip would work well, but it hasn't, so I'm just going to go and try to thin down at random instead of trying to get fancy with this. I was trying to run some good non-step fracture flakes across the tip, but and some non-crushing flakes. It didn't work out very well. So I'm just going to thin it down with some aggressive pressure flakes and then worry about the edge a little bit later. It's always strongest to create a median ridge. So if a median ridge develops on this one, it's going to be pretty good, pretty strong. Okay, I have to be careful on the very tip because the round pressure flaker isn't doing very well on the very tip. I'll have to use a flat flaker. But it seems to be doing okay with sending in flakes from thicker platforms further down on the edge. Now I don't have a really good choice of platforms here to run a flake there. I've got a kind of a good area right in there, but I hate starting a flake from a place that's already indented, you know, because it's going to get even deeper. I'd rather run flakes from these protrusions instead of from the valleys, from these humps instead of in from the valley. But I've got a step fracture right where that hump is on that one, and this one's too far away to run a long flake. I may have to just run a percussion flake from down here into there. I don't have the confidence to run that with pressure. If it wasn't for that step fracture right there, I could run a flake here. And this one's it's too far away from this side. See if we can get rid of that step fracture. No. Very risky with percussion. Yeah, just a little bit left. Well, I can still narrow it down and get that a little bit later. Yeah. And some might be saying, well, if you did it in the beginning, it would have been better. Well, I would have had a lot thinner point right here than I have now. I don't want it to be thin here in the middle. I probably already would have snapped it if it was already thin in the middle. I want the thickest possible in the middle. So even if I have to leave that little bit on the surface there, it's okay. I'll just leave it on the finished point. I should be able to run a percussion flake across this one toward the end. And even if there's a little bit left on that, I'll just call it good anyway. But right now I'm looking at this thick point. Need to take it back and get some, make it more narrow, and then make it thinner up here. Let's see. Starting to develop a stack right here. I'm gonna have to reshape that tip. I'm gonna have to sharpen this. Okay. Oh, yeah, much better. I had to sharpen it to get into those small platforms. A little bit too aggressive there. Normally what I would do is I would stop the video and shoot another one, but I'm going to continue with this one. I can still make that type of point that I was thinking about. And it's not impossible to do this with indirect percussion. It just you need a lot of material because you'll have lots of failures. Until you get used to it. And I won't have any trouble now getting that last bit. I just have to make sure I don't slack off on being careful. So I can just as easily break off a stout tip Obsidian as a delicate one. What I'm trying to do now is just taper this down so it's, you know, thickest here and then gets thinner as it goes toward the tip. I'm getting some, you know, imperfections along the edge and some step fracturing and stuff, but my main concern for now is to thin it down, and then I'll come back and I'll get rid of those step fractures. I'm leaving myself some width. It's going to be, the edge is going to be straighter than this, so I'm kind of leaving myself some width to correct for those edge mistakes. Now, the nappers that do the nice parallel flaking avoid all this with that technique. But the technique that I'm using right now is going to make it look more like a real point with random flaking and slight inconsistencies in the edge. Maybe a little bit of step fracturing on the surface. Very minimal, hopefully. It'll look more like a real point. Okay, now I'm going to be more focused on the edge because I've got most of the center finished. The angle, I've changed the angle on this pressure flaker, so that's why I didn't use it earlier. I was thinking about that when I changed the angle on this, and I realized that I wasn't going to be able to use it on the edge as effectively as before. So you may see me fumble around with it a little bit. Okay. All right, so I've got the edge prepared well enough that I'm going to just leave it alone for now, and then I'll be able to come back to it without worrying about having to apply too much force to the tip to get it thinned down. I'm going to work on the stem now. If I had too much on the tip, or if I had to apply too much force here after completing the stem, some of the stem might snap off. So that's why I took a little bit of time to get the tip thinned out. Maybe I need to do one more large flake. So I'll prepare for that one. Looks a little thick right here. Normally I don't think about the process this much, but I had a request to do more explanation of what I'm trying to do. Now, there's good and bad about trying to explain everything. It's good because sometimes you guys won't be able to figure out what I'm doing, but it's also bad because I'm having to explain a lot more than I would normally be thinking of doing. Just because I have to create the little errors that I get from not paying attention because I'm speaking, if that makes sense. Since I don't normally explain what I'm doing while I'm napping, explaining while I'm napping is not giving you the actual process. You know what I mean? Okay.